Hello, this is Tom Leung. I'm the product manager for Website Optimizer. And today what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of an advanced training on Website Optimizer. This is designed to complement the introductory webinar that I just did a few days ago. So thanks for coming. And let's talk a little bit about how to get more out of Website Optimizer. What are we going to cover today? We're going to look at some examples of Website Optimizer tests. We are going to look at how Website Optimizer works. And then we're going to actually set up an A/B test from scratch. We'll do a multivariate test from start to finish. We'll do actually a follow-up test, and then a copy test. And then we're going to go over some specific testing recipes to help you use Website Optimizer in ways that you may not have known that you could. Then we'll also look at some frequently asked questions and best practices. So before we get really started, I did want to quickly go over the general theme of how we are looking at online marketing. And specifically, we look at this as a continuous process where you spend a great deal of effort driving the right traffic to your site. And a lot of people already do a fantastic job of this. And then a lot of people also will take the time to measure and analyze the site activity with web analytics tools. The third step is what we're really interested in, and that's testing changes to the content to enhance the customer experience and then implement the winners of those tests. And lastly, you continue this process over and over until, in theory, your conversion rate is 100%. And if you do these kinds of things, you'll really have a leg up over your competition, and you'll get a much more bang for your buck. You'll have more efficient marketing processes, and your customers will benefit as well. So there's a lot of tools at your disposal. Google provides quite a number of them to accomplish this continuous process of driving the right traffic, measuring the activity on the website, and then testing potential improvements. And so we have AdWords, which is our flagship product to drive traffic to your site. We have Analytics, which will give you a lot of rich reports and analyses on what's going on when they land on your site. And then now we have Website Optimizer, which is letting you make potential changes to your site and seeing the impact of those changes. So when you think about online marketing, Google provides sort of three legs of the stool, which is Drive, Measure, Test, AdWords, Analytics, Website Optimizer. So how does Website Optimizer work? What it does. Let's look at an example where visitors will land on your site. We will then show them different versions of the page that you've instrumented to test. And then we'll measure how many of them actually made it to your goal page or achieved some activity that you consider positive. So in this example, you have three different versions of your page. We allocate the visitors to your site across those three, and then we measure the percentage of those who actually made it to the final result. And as you can see here, 14 out of every 100 made it to the thank you page, but 20 out of every 100 made it to the thank you page who saw the combination 1. And only 2 out of every 100 made it to the thank you page who saw combination 2. So in this example, it would be very hard to predict which page really performed the best based on just looking at it. But if you let your customers decide and let them vote with their clicks, then you can use real science and data to make smarter decisions and ultimately have a website that really outperforms everyone else. So as you can see here, we have the winning combination. Now we don't just talk about testing here at Google. We do it ourselves every day. This is an example of the Picasa homepage. This is an actual screenshot of their homepage a few months ago before they implemented a Website Optimizer test. Now what you find here is that it's a pretty decent looking page. It has a compelling headline. It has a nice product image. It uses the word free, and it's a pretty good page, but we wondered if it could be improved. And so we ran a multivariate test on this page, and what we found is that if we were to change the headline, the call to action, and the image, and the secondary headline, we wondered if that would impact the percentage of people who would download the Picasa application. what we found is that this version of the page, with a slightly different title, instead of Find, Organize, and Share, it says the easy way to share and manage. Instead of a free link, what we did here is we used a Try Picasa Now button. We actually removed the product image, which is kind of the most counterintuitive change. But ultimately, by making all of these enhancements, we were able to increase the download rate by 30%. So what a wonderful result, where all we did was tag up an original page, come up with a couple of different copy treatments, and some potential alternate images and no image at all, and we ultimately increased the percentage of people who download Picasa by 30%. So how do you set up a test? This is really the guts of this webinar. You want to know exactly how it works. Fair enough. So before we get into the demo, let's talk specifically about the architecture of Website Optimizer and what the tags do. There are two kinds of tests you can run in Website Optimizer. There's the A/B test, which will use redirection to allocate visitors to different versions of a page, and those will be separate pages that reside on separate URLs. Or there's the multivariate test, where you tag up one page and will actually change the content of that specific page itself, so it's not doing any redirection. Both are very effective, and both are good for different reasons. The A/B is the simplest to run, and what happens here is you put a control script at the top of your A page. Let's say this is your A page. And what this control script does is it will allocate the visitor to either the A or the B page. So the control script will talk to the Google Experiment Server, and it'll say, hey, I've got someone that's about to load the A page. Do you want me to show him the rest of the A page, or do you want me to move him over to the B page? And the Experiment Server will say, okay, for this guy, let him see the rest of the A. For the next guy, put him on to the B, and so forth. So in this example, you have the control script, which will let the A page run. And then we have the tracking script at the bottom of the A page. And this will record when the page view has completed. Similarly, we have a tracking script at the bottom of the B page, and that will record when the visitor has viewed the B page. And finally, we have the goal script right down here. And what that does is, after the visitor has seen either the A or the B, and they've navigated around your site, if they ultimately land on the goal page, we'll then make a recording, and then we'll also tell the Experiment Server, hey, this guy saw the goal page, and we'll also know that he previously saw either the A or the B page. So we keep doing that until we can show you that, wow, you know, the people that saw the A page first were much more likely to see the goal page than the people that saw the B page. The multivariate setup is similar. It's slightly different. The difference here is that instead of the control script deciding whether or not we should redirect the user to the B or the C page or let them continue on with the A, this one uses a slightly different implementation, and it will actually change the content of the test page. So what we have here is we have the control at the top and these section tags, which will identify pieces and carve out little areas of your page that you would like us to alternate. So in this example, let's say this were a headline, a hero image, and a call to action link. So when the visitor begins loading this page, the control script will talk to the Experiment Server and say, hey, someone's trying to load this page. What version of the headline, hero image, and call to action should I show? And the Experiment Server will say, okay, give them headline 2, hero image 7, and call to action 3. And then the next person that comes, it will receive a different version. And so as the browser renders this page, they will see that a headline, an image, and a call to action that is appropriate for that particular visitor. And this all happens in milliseconds, so the visitor doesn't really feel like they're in an experiment. It just loads like any other page. At the end of the page load, we'll track that it's been viewed, and then, of course, we have the goal script, which will say, oh, well, this guy saw combo 27, which was composed of headline 2, image 5 and call to action 6, and then also saw the goal page. And then we keep tracking what percentage of people who see each of those combinations ends up on the goal page to let you know what version of the page was most successful. So how do you actually set up the tests? First thing you do is you go into AdWords. If you don't have an AdWords account, you can set one up exclusively for Website Optimizer. If you already have an AdWords account, you can just go into your Campaign Management tab and you'll find the link to the Website Optimizer right there. And just so you know, using Website Optimizer does not require any spending in AdWords, and nor does it exclude traffic that arrives at your test page outside of AdWords. So it works for all traffic, whether it comes from AdWords or organic search or other search engine companies, or and it doesn't require any spending on your part. Of course, if you decide to do that in the future, would love to be considered, but we don't require any spending. So let's look at some live demos. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an A/B test. We're going to set it up, tag it, launch it, and then look at some sample reports. And then we're going to do the same thing with the multivariate. So here we have, let's make believe this were the Website Optimizer homepage. It is not. It's a demo page. But for the sake of example, we say, okay, well, I got a headline, and I got this nice image and these bullet points, and I've got this nice call to action. But, you know, later on in the day, you decide, oh, you know, wouldn't it be nice if I could make it look like this? You know, maybe it's a different color headline. I put the bullet points up top, and my call to action is not as salesy. Instead of get your account, it's, you know, learn more. And so it's really hard to know which of these versions would be better, right? We know they're different, but it's unclear which one would have a higher rate of getting accounts to be set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into AdWords, and we would click on the Website Optimizer link, and we would click on Create Another Experiment. In this case, I have one that's ready to go. So let's go to my A/B demo experiment. And what we're going to end up with is a multi-step wizard. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to start us right from the beginning. So here we have the first page, which will allow us to prepare for the experiment. And it'll say, okay, if you're ready to get started, you need to choose the page you want to test. You need to create an alternate version of the page, and you need to identify the conversion page. Now, we've done all that, so we're ready to go. Now it will say, okay, give us a name for the experiment, give us the URL for the original page, and a URL for your variation page. And you could create an A, B, C, D, F. You can just add as many of these as you like. In this case, I'm just going to do an A/B test. And then finally, we say, give us the URL of your goal page. So simple enough. I say continue. And now you'll notice that it's going to ask me, well, who's going to be doing the tagging for this? Is it going to be my web team, or is it going to be myself? If it's your IT team, we give you this little radio button. And here you can choose and decide, okay, I'm going to be the one that instructs the IT team to do the tagging for me. And you could just send them this link, and they'll get all the information they need. Or you can say, no, I'm going to be the one installing it, so give me the tags. And in this case, we're going to assume that I'm going to be the one doing that. So we say continue. And here, we're given the tags to add to the page. So what I have here is the control script, which I will now copy. And I'm going to go to my source code of the A page. Give me 1 second. And we're going to go A before. So here's that page, the original. Right? It says, try Google's free website testing tool. Get your free account here. That looks fine. So I'm just going to paste the control scripts to the top. And for the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to just highlight that just so it's a little bit easier to see. And now I'm going to go back into Website Optimizer, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm ready to add the tracking script. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that at the bottom of the A page. Scroll to the bottom, paste, highlight for your ease of viewing, and that's it. The A page is now tagged. Okay? All I did was put the control at the top, tracker at the bottom. Now, we have to put the tracking script at the bottom of the B page. So I select, I copy. I have my B page source code here. Remember, this one is where I had a different title, should you be using Website Optimizer, and I say click here to learn more. Remember that one? So I'm just going to go to the bottom of this page. I'm going to paste the tracking tags, and I'm going to highlight that. All right, simple enough. And finally, I'm going to go to my goal page. This is the one that's going to fire and let me know when someone has actually done something that's what I want them to do after they've seen the test page. So I'm going to paste that here and highlight that. Believe it or not, this A/B test has been set up. So that's all I have to do. And what we do now is after you update your servers to have the pages reflect those tags, we're just going to validate that. And what Google does is it will look at each page and it will make sure that, okay, yeah, we saw all the tags. Great job. You're ready to go. Now we'll say continue. And then we'll give you a little summary before we launch. You can actually preview each page here. And you can see, okay, yeah, that's the original. And that is the alternate. Looks good, right? And then I can say start the experiment. And so now what will happen is it will start the experiment, and as visitors start coming in, they'll be automatically shown either the A or the B. So let's go back here to the URL for the A page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this page. Now there's a 50% chance now the experiment is live, I will be given the A page. I may also be given the B page. So we'll see which one I get allocated to here. Let's refresh this. And you see here that I've been allocated to the A page. I can refresh this all day long. I can come back later today, in a future session tomorrow or next week, and it'll remember that it has assigned me to the A page. Now let me open up another browser and try to hit that A page again, and we'll see which one they assign me to. So if I go to Website Optimizer A.htm, hit enter, and I'm also assigned to the A page. And this happens fairly randomly because we are randomly distributing people, but I'm going to clear my cookies. And now I'm going to refresh this page after I've cleared my cookies and see if I can't get assigned to the B page. All right, here we go. Enter. And here you see that now I've been assigned to the B page. And I could refresh this page now all day long, and I will always be going to the B page. I can close my browser and open up the same browser again and go to, I can try and hit the Website Optimizer A, and it will still bring me to the B page. So this is great because, you may assign someone to an experiment. They may come back, and you don't want to confuse them. So we remember which one they've been assigned to. And that's a good example of how the cookie system works on the multivariate and the A/B testing. And in this case, it was the A/B. So what happens after you launch the experiment? Well, we show you some interesting reports. And what we'll do is we'll show you your original page and all of the different other versions of the page. For this demo, it would have been just the original and the B page, and we would show you the chance that it has to beat the original. It has the percentage improvement in the conversion rate, the estimated conversion rate, plus or minus within the distribution, and then the raw data on, well, we showed the combination 11 411 times and had 160 conversions. We showed the original 400 times and had 125 conversions. And you can let the report run, and we'll tell you when it's finished. So that's a good example of the A/B testing. Now, you'll notice that it took me about what, maybe 3 minutes to set up that test. All I did was control at the top, tracking at the bottom, and then tracking at the bottom of the goal. Now let's say you do an A/B and you find that, wow, I found the layout that works, but I want to do a little bit more robust testing. And I want to try perhaps many different headlines, many different images, and many different calls to action. And you could have, in this example I'm showing you 3 sections, you could have up to 8 actually. Why is this interesting? Well, for one thing, I may not want to create 10 or 15 different pages and publish them all to the web. It may be more work. Maybe the A/B was fine when I had 2 or 3, but I don't want to create 50 pages. So multivariate will allow me to have one page, add my tags, and then let Website Optimizer effectively create different versions of the page as people's browsers render just that original test page. So let's go back into Website Optimizer and go to a multivariate test. And I'm going to go in here. And let's look at the first step. The first step is I will identify the pages that I want to test. And this is very similar to the A/B, right? I'm going to call this multivariate. The URL is the index page, so it's websiteoptimizerdemo.com. And I've got my conversion page. Fine. And now I'm going to proceed to the next step. And this one's going to say, okay, well, let's help you plan this out. Make sure that you know what sections you want to test, and that you have that alternative content ready to go. And I say, fine, I'm ready. And now it'll say, okay, again, do you want your IT team to do the tagging, or will you? For this example, I'm going to say, I'm going to do it. So let's look at the source code of the multivariate before. So here is, again, that source code looks very similar. And let's look at the page so we can all remember. I'm going to go to here, websiteoptimizerdemo.com. It's the index page. It looks like the A page. I think it's exactly the same as the A page, in fact. So what we're going to do, instead of doing an A/B test, we're going to do a multivariate test on this page. So let's take the control script and put that at the top. Again, highlighting just for educational purposes. And then this is going to be slightly different. We're going to put these section tags before and after each area of the page that I want to vary. So let's say we want to vary the headline, the bullets, the image, and the call to action. So we're going to go up in here. And we're going to say, okay, let's alter the headline. So I'm going to paste the beginning section tag, and I'm going to change the name so I can refer to it later as headline. And then I have this ending section tag, which I'm going to put at the very end. And again, let's just highlight that. So remember, what this is going to do is the control is going to assign the person to an experiment, and then it's going to tell each of these, use these section tags to basically swap out this content. So here we have our headline. And let's say we also wanted to alter that bulleted list. So I put this at the beginning of the bulleted list section. And we can call this selling points. And then we put our no script at the end there. And that's the second section. And by the way, you could always copy it from here, but I find it a little bit easier once I already have it on the source code to just go within the document. So let's find another section, and maybe we want to alter the image. So we'll paste that there, call this image, and put the no script tag at the end. And now we have our image highlighted. And finally, we'll do the same thing with the call to action link. So we'll copy the beginning of the section tag, and we'll say paste, and we'll call this call to action, and then we put our script tag at the end. So you see here, I have my headline section right here. I have my bulleted list, my unordered list here. I have my image here, and I have my call to action here. So now I have a multi-section test. And later on, I'm going to make it really easy using Website Optimizer to alternate those things and say, well, maybe I don't want to try this headline, or I want to try 4 headlines and 2 images, and try every combination of that. Headline 1, image 1, headline 1, image 2, and so forth. The final thing on the multivariate test, similar to the A/B, is I add my tracking script. So I go back, and I go to multivariate, and at the very bottom, I'm just going to put a happy little tracking script there. Okay, that's all. There we go. This test page is now fully tagged and ready for a multivariate experiment. The last thing that we'll want you to do is add this goal script to the goal page. Now what's interesting is I'm going to use the same goal page as my A/B. And I want to do that because I want you to know that you can actually have multiple experiments running that all have the same goal. So you may have a few pages that you want to run tests on. Maybe one is your home page, and another one is like a product detail page or an About Us page. But all of them, the goal is to get people to the thank you for shopping with us, or thank you for providing us with your lead, whatever that goal page is. And all you do is you just put all of the goal tags at the bottom, and everything's fine. And we're pretty smart about when these goal scripts fire. If someone didn't see one of your test pages beforehand, they won't be allocated and sort of recorded as a success for any of those test pages. It'll only record the goal for those visitors who saw the test pages beforehand. If they saw 2 test pages, maybe they participated in 2 experiments, that's fine. We'll count it for each of them. So let's go back into Website Optimizer. And at this point, I can check the tags on the pages. Multivariate testing also enables you to do offline validation. So a lot of people say sometimes, they say, well, I got a page, but it's not available. I haven't published it yet. I've got it on my machine. So you could always select this option and then just browse and select the page, and we can validate it offline. In this case, I've already updated the live versions of those pages, so I'm going to check them. And here, you'll see that we will look at each of the pages, and we'll say, yep, we found them. We found all of your sections, and everything looks good. So I say save and continue. And now here's the fun part. Now this is very different than the A/B test, because in the A/B test, you have to create multiple pages, publish them, and then we just do redirection. In this case, you only tag one page, and you give us the alternate HTML here. Now you notice also that we found all of the sections, and we also show you the original HTML. I could say, well, let's, instead of this title, should you be using Website Optimizer, let's come up with a different title that's a little bolder, something like, Web's Best. I'm going to call it Web's Best, and then you notice that Website Optimizer will give you the original HTML from the original variation, so it makes it a lot easier for me to just make minor changes. So we could say Web's #1 testing tool, exclamation. And then let's say, well, that's such a bold headline. I don't want it also to be that big, so I'll make it an H2. I can save it. I didn't have to change that H2 thing, but I just did just to show you that it can be done. And I can preview the change too. I can say, well, I wonder how that looks. Oh, there it is, Web's #1 testing tool. And here I have the original, should you be using Website Optimizer. So that looks good. and let's call this the best. Or actually, this is a good example where I called the headline something, but then after I made the headline, I decided to change it. And now we're going to talk about number 1. Okay? I could also add another variation, another headline, maybe something about ROI and the benefits. So we'll call ROI. And I can say here, increase your return on investment with testing, right? We can save that. And then here we have our bulleted selling points. But maybe I want to change them. Maybe I want, instead of saying free increases conversion rates, test alternate designs, I want to modify some of those. So maybe I'll change this one to more of a techie selling points. And I say add. And so instead of free increases landing page conversion rates, maybe we'll say free multivariate content testing. And then instead of saying test alternate designs, we say fully hosted on fully hosted testing tool. And then instead of free, maybe I'll call it free and robust. Just making this up as we're going along, as you can probably tell. And then we have our image. So here, I think we were using the checklist.jpg image. I think I have another image on the server with the reports. So we'll show the reports. We'll call this image reports. And then I think it is reports.jpg. Reports.jpg. Let's save that. The chance it may be just report, but let's preview. It's a good example of why preview is very helpful, just to make sure that your variations are looking okay. And it would appear that it might be called something else. So maybe it was just report.jpg. Let's save that and preview that one. There it is. Now you notice that it's a little formatted a little bit differently. I think it's because I had a certain width and height that was optimized for the other image. So I'm going to save that now. And now I'm going to preview again. Ah, isn't that beautiful? Now this is a good real-life example of why the preview feature is pretty helpful, because you could get really excited creating all these variations, and sometimes they may not look the way you thought. So the ability to preview before you launch the experiment probably save you a lot of time, may even save you your job. Okay, let's look at the call to action. Here we have, it says, click here to learn more. Let's create a different one. And we'll call it set up now. And we're going to say, click here to, instead of learn more, we say start testing. And again, just because I like to play around with things, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. You don't have to do this. As you can see, it's just HTML. You can do whatever you want with it. You can change the font, CSS class, whatever you're interested in. Ah, look at that. Something tells me this one won't perform that well because it seems kind of overpowering. But again, you never really know, right? So what we have done here is we've created a total of 3, 5, 7, 8 9 different variations across 4 sections, which actually results in 24 versions of the page, because you basically say it's 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you could have headline, the original headline, techie selling points, reports image, and original call to action, original, techie, original, and original, right? So we'll create all of those different versions, and you don't have to create all those different pages. You just tag it once, and you're good to go. So let's save and continue. And now we have this handy little summary, and then we can also decide how much traffic we want to allocate to the experiment. As an example, we could say, well, put all of my traffic on this experiment and divide all of the people between these 24 different versions. Or I could say, well, I tried some really radical changes there, and I want only 10% of my traffic to participate in the experiment. The other 90% will see the page as it is today. In this case, I'm going to say all 100% will be in the experiment. I can do a final preview, and I can see, I wonder what it looks like with the number 1 headline, the techie selling points, and the reports image, right? And then we tell you, well, that's actually combination 10. Or I could jump to a specific combination. Or if I wanted to, I could actually click on every combination name. But I think I'm pretty good. We're going to launch this puppy. So let's launch that now. And now the experiment is launched, and visitors will start seeing the alternate versions of the page. So let's keep ourselves honest here and go to that index page. Now I'm going to refresh this page, and there's a small chance that I will see the original, right? But I doubt that. I think I'm going to see at least a headline or bullet point or image or call to action change. So I'm going to say refresh, and look at that. I believe that this was the techie bullet points and the reports image and the start testing call to action. Now if I wanted to, I can open up another browser, take a look at that same page, the index page, enter. And here I have the web's number 1 testing tool headline. I have the original bullet points, the new image, and the original call to action. And I can keep refreshing this, and I'll keep seeing the same one, which is good because we don't want to confuse people. And that basically is how you set up and launch a multivariate test. Not too bad, right? All we did was we identified the pages, we added the tags, and we created our variations, we previewed them, and we launched. And again, to summarize about the tags, all I did was I put a control at the top, simple copy and paste action. I put a tracking at the bottom, again, copy and paste. The only thing that required a little bit of attention was the section tags. And that was basically copying and pasting this stuff at the beginning and this stuff at the end of each section, and then giving it a little name. So let's say that we've let this run for a while, and we want to see how it's doing. So again, we have our combination report, which would tell us, oh, this combination is doing much better than the original, and this is a chance that it would beat the original, and here are the raw data. We also show you a section report, which would say, oh, this headline had a high relevance rating, but actually it didn't really matter what you did to the call to action. The original was here, and everybody else was doing, similarly. But maybe this was the hero image, and we found that, wow, that variation 3 of the hero image really blew the original out of the water, and on average, we showed it this many times and had this many conversions. So the section report is only available in multivariate testing. It's a very rich and powerful report that we make available. But let's make believe that you've run this test, and you decide a month later, you know what, that index page was good, but I really wish that I had tested something else, or I came across some new market research and I found that, you know, all that techie stuff was fine, but what people really want to know about is ease of use. So what I can do is I can go into my running experiment. I can stop it. And actually, before I even copy it, let me say that I found that a certain combination appeared to be the winner. I can then create a follow-up test. And while we will run all of the numbers to make sure we recommend the right one for you, it's always good to run a follow-up test. And in this case, what we'll do is we'll run all of the traffic against the original and any one of the combinations. Let's say combination 4 was the winner. And here, you get two benefits. One is we stop serving traffic to the combinations that weren't winning. And two is we can allocate more traffic to that winning combination so we can get even greater precision and confidence that it is definitely outperforming the original. So I'll say continue. And then I can determine how much traffic I want to send to that winner. And let's say I said, well, you know, I'm going to give 90% of my traffic to the winner and 10% to the original. And then I can do this sort of side-by-side comparison again. And then I can launch that experiment. And then that will run, and it will let me know when it's finished. There's another example which I alluded to earlier, which is, well, what if I wanted to test different things? So after you stop, you can always decide, okay, well, I want all my traffic to go to combination 4 now. That's actually a good opportunity to say, well, now that I've picked everybody to get combination 4, what happens if someone was in the experiment before and I showed them a combination that I knew wasn't doing that well after running the experiment, and I want him to see combination 4, no problem. So let's go to the index page again. And if I refresh this now, you'll notice that I'm seeing combination 4, right? You remember before I kept hitting refresh, it wouldn't change? But then now that I said everybody should see combination 4, that's what it'll do. So that's fine. This is a great a tool for you to allocate all of your traffic to the winning combination before you change the underlying source code of the page to be the true combination 4. But let's say that you find out, wow, you know, I had an idea to do some other tests later on that I didn't have at the time, and now I want to do another test, but I don't have time to retag the page. No problem. We have this neat copy feature, which will allow you to recycle the tags. So I don't have to touch the HTML ever again. I can now go and just skip right to the variation creation section, and I can say, no, I don't like any of these variations. Right? I'm going to do something completely different. Or you may say, well, that one worked okay, the ROI one, and the techie selling points was good, but you know, I don't want to show the reports anymore. That image just didn't do it for me. And the sign up now, you know, call to action just wasn't right either. But I've decided that, you know, I've now learned that the key to call to action from maybe a previous experiment, or maybe I have this idea, is this a new way of doing calls to action, which is about maybe being a little bit more personal, right? So instead of saying get your account today, we're going to say let's make this an inspirational call to action. So I'm going to say add. And I'm not going to say click here to learn more. I'm going to say help me change my website's performance. So I can be a better person. Obviously, this wouldn't be a real call to action, but I just want to show you how I can make these changes on the fly, and then I can save and continue. And I could have made any number of variations, and I can preview it. and I can see, well, let me see what that call to action looks like. There you go, right? So the power of the copy feature, and then I can launch, right? The power of the copy feature is once you do the tagging the first time, you don't have to re-tag it every time. I could do an experiment every month till the end of time. As I learn more things and want to try new ideas, and maybe I don't want to have to do the tagging, and in this case you don't have to. So that's a great example of the copy and the follow-up feature. So we also looked at the report. So that's good, I think, for the demos. Hopefully you saw how easy it was to set up the A/B, how quickly I could tag it and launch it, and how powerful the multivariate is with the copy, follow-up, and the ability to create dozens of versions of the page. So let's look at a testing cookbook, some ideas on other tests that you can run. So let's say you've done your A/B and you've done a multivariate, and you wonder, well, maybe there's other things I can do. Well, there sure are. There's a few more. There's the split path, which is a great way to compare. Maybe you wonder if a two-step sign-up process is better than a three-step process. And some people will argue, well, 2 steps is always better than 3, even if the 2 steps are longer. And someone else will say, well, 3 clean pages is better than 2 really long ones. The split test will let you see and have your visitors tell you which works best for them. The multi-page multivariate is, let's say you decide that that 3-step process is really the best way to go, but you're not sure what version of the image on the first step and what copy on the second step and what version of an image and copy on the third step are the best combination across those 3 pages. Or the linger test. Let's say that the goal isn't to buy something or download something. You just want people to read the page. Maybe you publish an online magazine. You just want people to read the articles. Well, this test will let you alter, obviously, the contents of the page. Maybe it's the styling of the page or the way you show the headlines or what the headlines are. And if the person remains on the page for greater than X number of seconds with you setting X, then that's a conversion. Then there's also the click, which is, well, again, I don't really have a goal page. I want them to do something on the test page. Maybe it's the form is right there. I just want them to submit it. Or I want them to download the white paper. And so we can use clicks as a way of measuring goals. And then there's the do anything. Maybe you have a page that has multiple goals. One is to sign up for a newsletter, another is to download a white paper, another is to fill out a lead gen form, and another is to buy a product. And all of those things are good. Well, why limit yourself to just optimizing for one goal? Why don't you count all of them? And in this example, if they hit any or all of the pages, we'll count the conversion. So the A/B we talked about. Very simple. It's great for first-time testers. Great for layout tests, too, like image at the top versus image at the bottom or left and right, that kind of thing. It's also good for lower traffic pages because there's only 2 combinations to test, so we don't need a ton of traffic to tell you if there's any difference between them. And we also benefit from being able to use Google Analytics content detail reports, so you can actually see and just put in the URL in Analytics and see, okay, well, not only which had the higher conversion rate, but what was the bounce rate, the time on page, that kind of thing. So this is a good example of an A/B. You want to try the layout. The Classic Multivariate, which we just showed, where you carve up different sections, you put the little section tag before and after. Very powerful for finding positive interactions. You would be surprised that maybe headline 7 and image 4 and call to action 3, they have some special complementary sort of characteristics that when put together, they way outperform the original. It also is very helpful if you want to do lots of different versions of a page. So instead of creating 27 different versions, why don't you just do 3 by 3 by 3, 3 sections of 3 variations each? Wouldn't that be easier? And then you can also find the hot zones, so that section report, which will tell you the relevance and the relative relevance of the different sections of the page. And that one's fairly simple. put the control at the top, put the section tags on, tracking at the bottom, goal script on the goal page, click launch. So here's an example of a classic multivariate where I have this, and I want to try different headline, maybe different button, maybe different call to action here, and maybe I wonder if, the sort of earth tone add to basket and the lowercase call to action are pretty powerful when they're put together, or the rose grandeur bouquet with the earth tone and the lowercase call to action. So you can do all those kinds of tests very easily. The split path is really fun. This is, again, that example where you may have multiple steps in a process and you want to try different versions of those processes. So here you just develop two paths starting with page 2 of a multi-step process. So here, page 1 would have a call to action that would say, oh, get started or something, right? And the variations on that would be, get started would point to the second step of this process, or get started would point to the second step of this process. And they would be in different places. And then thereafter, we could tell you, wow, you know what? When we sent people to this process, they converted at a much higher rate than this process. In fact, if you want to get really fancy, you can do a multivariate on this test page and then also do a built-in split path, because the call to action, the two variations, would be going to two different beginnings of parallel funnels. So this is a fun test to run, and it's a classic case of how do we optimize a particular funnel or experience. So here, maybe we say, well, they hit the home page, and when they click on anything, we could take them to a specific product detail page and then put it in a basket. Or when they click on anything, we take them to the category page, because the theory would be, well, maybe if they see all these categories, they'll be more likely to find a particular flower that is appealing, and they won't bounce off as much. And then when they see enough, they get the specific flower and check out. Someone else might say, that may be true, but less steps is always better than more. How do you decide? Run the test. The multi-page multivariate, let's say we find that, wow, that 3-step process was good, but now we want to know, okay, if we take them to that category page, what was the version of the image for that category that would be best? And when they do hit the product details page, what call to action and image for the product detail section, and so forth. So this is the multi-page multivariate, which lets you combine lots of different elements across multiple pages and see what the best combination is. So here's a good example where you say, well, we know that you should start here at the category and then go to the product detail and then go to the shopping cart. But is this image really the best image for the category page? And if they see this image, is this image the best one for the product detail? Or moreover, is this button going to work when you show this introduction copy? We don't know, right? So this is a great way to really, a multi-page multivariate is kind of eking out the next level of efficiency out of your process so that your website is just a well-oiled machine. Right? So here we show that it could really look like any number of combinations. And you'd be surprised whether I show a lot of category images or less kind of impacts what might work here. Maybe the theory is if I show lots of images here, then I don't want to overwhelm them with lots of copy here. Maybe this one would be better, right? Who knows? I mean, this is all speculation. You don't really know until you test. And the linger test is a great one. I only need one page for the linger test. Basically, I will just do the same testing the way I do today. I could do it either A/B linger or multivariate linger. But instead of putting the goal script on a goal page, I will also put it on the bottom of the test page. And look at this. Here we download the JavaScript, and then we call this function set timeout, and we wait 4,000 milliseconds. And after those 4,000 milliseconds, we will fire the goal. right? I could change that to, 10,000 milliseconds if I have so much information that I say, you know what, unless they're on this page for 10 seconds or more, they're not really reading it and I'm not accomplishing what I want. The other extreme is I could say, well, you know what, if they're on there 3 seconds, as long as they don't hit back right away, I'm happy, right? So this is a great way to do very simple testing, and you don't really need a lot of data on this because everybody that stays longer than this number of seconds is counted as a conversion. And while I'm at it, I should probably show you where you can find some more of these little tricks. If you go to google.com/website-optimizer, you'll see the Website Optimizer homepage, which has a number of things, one of which is a link to the Website Optimizer help section. And I have all these great articles, right, these help topics, but this is my favorite section, the testing guides and strategy section. So here we have our article about the time on conversion goal, right? So this is the time on page. You can just copy that. And all you have to do is just change your account ID information and the experiment ID information here. And that you can get from the tags that we give you when you set up the experiment. So I'm going to come back to that Website Optimizer homepage in a little bit because I think there's a lot of good stuff there that I want to make sure you know about. But that is the linger. Then there's the click test, right? Some people say, you know what, I don't really have a specific page in mind. This test page is all business. I mean, I'm trying to get the conversion right on that page. And that conversion is maybe I have a little form that they have to fill out right on the page. It's a landing page, or there's a little link to download or something, right? So in this case, we can do our on-click. And you do the same thing like you do with any test. You have to put the control at the top, and you put your sections if it's multivariate, or you give us the alternate URLs if it's an AB. But instead of only putting the goal script on some goal page, you also add it to the test page itself. And here, you copy the tags that we gave you in the help topic, and you make sure that that appears next to the action that you want to be tracking. And what this does is it downloads the JavaScript and runs a different function. Instead of timeout, it runs the on-click function. And what will happen is it'll say, if you click on this link, we'll fire the goal. Right? As simple as that. So you don't need to have only pages that are goals. The flexibility of the Website Optimizer system is that as long as the tags end up on the page and as long as the goal scripts get fired, it doesn't matter if it's after a period of time, doesn't matter if it's after a particular action on the test page, or if they actually hit and load a specific goal page. It really depends on the needs of your experiment. And then there's also the do anything test. This is a great one because some people say, well, I don't really have one goal. I have many goals, and I'm happy if they do any of those things. Well, same thing. Just tag it like you always do, but you can put that goal script on as many pages as you want. So as an example, some people say, well, in step 1, you ask for the goal URL. We do ask you for that to help you kind of move through the process, but you could put that goal script on any page you want, and we'll still count it. So we're getting near the end of this webinar. I want to reemphasize the importance of this process of driving, measuring, and testing. Right? If you keep doing that, you will definitely be a rock star at the office, and you'll be on the forefront of getting the most out of your website. There are some frequently asked questions we get about Website Optimizers, so I do want to cover some common myths. One is that people think, well, this must only work for AdWords traffic. It's not true. It works for all of your traffic. The only thing that you need with regards to AdWords is you do need a AdWords username and password, which doesn't require you to spend any money to access Website Optimizer. The second one is even once you get your AdWords account, if you don't spend any money with Google, that's fine. You can still use Website Optimizer as much as you like. Of course, we'd appreciate it in the future if you did consider doing online advertising to think about AdWords, but you don't have to. The other one is, oh, well, I need to use Google Analytics, and maybe I use some other web analytics program, or for some reason I don't use Google Analytics. That's fine. Website Optimizer does use some Google Analytics infrastructure on the back end, but you don't need to go off and create a Google Analytics account just to use Website Optimizer. We happen to think that when you use Analytics and Website Optimizer on the same site, that you get a lot of value from the measurement and reporting of analytics and then the testing capabilities of Website Optimizer, but you don't have to use them both if you don't want to. Another question we get is, well, I need massive amounts of traffic to run a multivariate test. The rule of thumb is you need about 100 conversions per combination. So if you expect to get a few hundred conversions over the life of the test, then you may want to just do an A/B. Or if you have a few hundred conversions, but you have 10 times the number of soft conversions, so maybe you have a few hundred people that buy a product from you, but you have a few thousand that will actually view the product details page or take the first step of the sign-up process or the checkout process, you could make that a goal, and then you could run a lot more combinations for the test. Another question we get is, oh, well, it's free, so there's no customer support. Not true as well. We provide free email support that you can use. Just contact the AdWords support section, and you get all your questions answered, as well as we provide dozens, if not hundreds, of help topics that are searchable, and we also have a user forum for peer help. This will increase my rank on search results. Not true. Website Optimizer is designed to enhance your customer's experience by letting you identify the content that is going to be most useful to them. Your place in where you show up on the search result is an orthogonal issue. It has nothing to do with Website Optimizer. Any changes, of course, that you make to your site will have the same impact on your search ranking as whether you use Website Optimizer or not. Wow, you guys do A/B, multivariate, you do follow-up, you let me copy. This must be very expensive. This must be $10,000 a month. Not true. It is a free tool. In our view, if everybody tests their content and comes up with content that is better for the users, you'll have a better internet, you'll have more effective websites, and in the long run, everybody wins. So you don't have to pay to use Website Optimizer. Some other questions. Well, if I need consulting, I'm on my own. Also not true. We have a number of certified Website Optimizer authorized consultants. And if we go back to the Website Optimizer homepage, again, that's google.com/Website Optimizer, you'll see here a consulting services section. And here we list a number of companies that have been certified to be experts at Website Optimizer. And if you want to retain them, they can help you with planning the test, setting it up, analyzing the results, technical support, training, all of those things. And there's a lot. All of these companies we've personally vetted and highly recommend. Some more misconceptions. This won't work for Fortune 100 sites. It can't. It's free. Not true. We have a number of Fortune 100 customers using Website Optimizer today. We can't reveal them for their own privacy reasons. But I can tell you that even within Google, we use it on the Gmail homepage, on Picasa Web, on AdWords, and all of our major Google Earth. And we've had great results with it. And we can take whatever traffic you can throw at it. I can run a test in the day. This is a common misconception. You need to run tests for a while. It needs to be generally at least 1 week. I would prefer you stuck with 2 weeks. And internally, we don't end the test for a month, even if we see a runaway winner. And the reason is you just want to let the data normalize. Sometimes it's kind of takes some time to get more statistical significance. You could have interesting day-of-week effects, or time-of-day effects. So just, if you think your test is almost done or done, just let it run a little bit longer just to be sure. I just add tags, and Website Optimizer will tell me what to test. So Website Optimizer is designed to test ideas that you have and show you data to determine which of those ideas were the best. If you need ideas on what to test, then we definitely recommend, there's plenty of good reading out there on best practices in landing page design and web design, and also any of the consultants that I had previously talked about have years of experience running tests and could tell you what would be probably the highest probability of finding a winner. This only works on static pages. Well, for the demo I use static pages, but I could just as easily use dynamic pages. Again, as long as our tags end up on the page when the browser is rendering the page, the experiment will work like a charm. Okay? It doesn't require that the tags are living in the source code of the page before the browser renders it. You could add it dynamically. It could be part of some content management system template. As long as the tags end up on the page when the browser renders it, you're good. I need a conversion page. We talk a lot about the test page, the goal page, but hopefully some of those recipes were good examples of how you can make a click sitting around on the page for a few seconds or going to multiple pages. All of those can be goals. This won't work because my shopping cart is on another domain. That's called cross-domain goals. We have a help topic about how to instrument those. That works fine. Or you could always go to the deepest place within the existing domain right before you send them off to the other domain's goal as another way of instrumenting a test. This won't work with third-party content management systems. Actually, it does, again, as long as the tags get on there. That's fine. And I definitely recommend that you contact your content management system company and the provider and ask them, because there are some, actually, that will take the IT guy link, that link that I showed you before that you could send to your IT team to do the tags. There are some content management systems that if you give them that link, they will grab the tags and insert them on the page for you, and you don't have to do any tagging. So it's pretty exciting, and it's a good chance that your current content management provider provides Website Optimizer integration like that. So what are some best practices in testing, some things that I'd like you to take away? The first thing is start small. Particularly with multivariate tests, in a way, we've made it so easy to create different variations that sometimes people get a little carried away. So again, if you only have 500 conversions, try a 5 combination test. So maybe 2 sections and 2 variations each, or an A/B with 5 different pages. If you have 5 conversions a month, you're not going to really be able to run a big test. In fact, you're going to have to find a different conversion goal to get you in that few hundreds number, and maybe use the linger test, the time on page, or the click test. But start small. If you find that, wow, I have so much traffic and my tests always have big differences, then you can always go bigger afterwards. Test big changes. Don't test punctuation, like, oh, I should put an exclamation point or a period. If you can't see a difference between 2 versions of the page within a few seconds, your visitors probably won't either. So keep that in mind. The bigger the difference in the pages you test, the faster the test will run, and likely the bigger the improvements you'll see. Consider early indicators. If you're selling $10,000 software and you only sell a few of them a month, maybe make the goal hitting the request for more information or the product details or the trial software link. Maybe not make it the repeat purchase, because you may not have enough of those to run robust tests. Don't jump to conclusions. Sometimes people will see one combination do slightly better and say, bam, I'm done. I found a winner. This is great. And just keep in mind that, it's like an election. You don't want to count just part of the votes. You want to let all of the states come in before you declare a winner. Right? Don't declare mission accomplished prematurely. So, more resources. Let me just give you that guided tour again of the Website Optimizer homepage. And again, that's at google.com/websiteoptimizer. So from this page, here we have a link to our basic introductory webinar. I hope you probably already saw this one because you're on the advanced webinar now. If you didn't, that's fine. You can always go back and get some more of the basics. You can view an overview demo. You can review our quick start guide, see some sample reports. Look at here, you have some great case studies, right? You can also read other different case studies about what people did and results that they got. You can look at our partner list. You can. This is what I call the boss page. You know, if your boss is not sure if he wants to do testing, you send him a link to some of the testimonials and case studies, and then mention that it's free and that it can increase your sales 30–40%, and hopefully he or she will be much more open to it. This is wow, I love testing, but I don't, Tom, it looked very straightforward, but I don't really want to touch any code. And I want someone to just do everything for me or do parts of it for me. Again, this is that partner page, which will have a bunch of people that would be happy to help you out. And, since you don't have to pay money for the tool, investing in some professional services could be very useful. And then we have our discussion forum here, which is very active. And you have a lot of users helping each other out and talking about their experiences. So I definitely recommend that you visit this homepage, and we'll be adding more resources to it as time goes on. So just in summary, we talked about AdWords, Analytics, and Website Optimizer as the 3 legs of the stool to drive, measure, and convert traffic. We talked specifically about Website Optimizer, the tests you can run. We showed you how it works, how each of the tags does different things, and we allocate people different versions and then tell you which ones had the best performance. We showed you how to actually set up an A/B, which is control at top, tracking at bottom, tracking at bottom, tracking at bottom. The multivariate test, which is control at top, sections, and tracking at bottom, and then tracking at bottom of the goal page. We showed you how to do a follow-up test, where in multivariate, if you find that you have a winner and then you want to be extra sure, you can run that against the original and make sure it beats the original again and allocate more traffic against it. We showed you how to copy a test, so where you can run a test, you can end it, a month later you can decide to run another one, and you don't have to add any new tags. We showed you all of the testing recipes on different ways that you can use this tool to run different kinds of tests for different kinds of purposes. We talked about some of the frequently asked questions we get about Website Optimizer, and then we talked about some of the best practices. So hopefully this was helpful. We appreciate your time and interest in testing. I really think that if you embrace testing, it's definitely a win-win. Your users and your customers will have a better experience. You're going to be able to get much more return out of your investment. Even if you don't do any advertising, you still invest in your website, right? Might as well make it as effective as it can be. And it's a free tool. And stop sort of guessing and debating with different personalities in your company, and use science to make the best decisions for your business and for your users. So thanks very much. Make sure you head back to google.com/websiteoptimizer and give it a try.